What's up, y'all? Kofi Kingston here, and I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks, depending on what that drink is, preferably non-alcoholic, you know?
How's it going? Tell me why you're Sheamus.
Soda.
I would love to have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Maple syrup.
Fella.
I would never have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.
Welcome to the dive bar of the IWC. Welcome to Wrestling on the Rocks, episode 1. Again, I'm at Ref Marsh. We're at WOTR, the show. Coming in, having a little bit of a happy hour with us over Chomp. We got Bishop and his terrible wrestling takes.
Yeah, man.
I started out high energy.
Say more than that.
I started out high energy and I gassed early. Like I shouldn't. I wasn't here for a sprint and I thought I could do it, but
you definitely tapped out.
I blew out quick, man. Quick. I was like, we're gonna start off hot and I'm gonna have all this energy, and I only had that exact amount to get through the first 2 sentences of energy.
Yeah, absolutely.
You're like clear as day. No.
Yeah, no, I'm not even gonna. No, man, good job. You did great. No, you fucked that one up.
Yeah, you piddled right out.
You blew it.
I'm gonna pull up a little.
But yeah, I'm back. I mean, hey, we did so good the last 3 episodes. And might as well start out all fucked up on this one. So
it's a good point. It's a nice reset, you know?
Yeah. Can't make the people think you're ready for episode 2.
You gotta stay consistent. That's what we've always said. I'm pulling up to see if there's any news, because I really don't remember anything that was like significant. But yeah, it's been also just really good to have you here for a few weeks. I know that you've been kind of off and on with your podcast at times, and I know that I've told you a few times that there's always an open stool here as our resident norm, and so it's been really cool that with Kev going through a bunch of personal stuff, getting a house and move in and all that, like that you've been able to step in and be a little more consistent. I know that I've heard from a few people how much they really like you, so it's always good to have you over.
What?
Yeah.
There's friends of the show that actually like me on here. That's the first.
Sportsbeard likes you, dude. Sportsbeard likes you, and I keep trying to tell him you're
the only one.
Yeah, I'm all like, dude, you're being duped. You're getting worked by Bishop.
No, I appreciate it. There's always been mixed reviews of me on here, but I tell you what, I was listening to, I think it was episode 1 from last Thursday, and to hear Splinter Fox trash AEW makes me so happy.
Wasn't it crazy?
Because there was an episode 1, I'm not sure if you're familiar, about a year and a half ago, where me and you stayed up way too late, drinking way too much. Yeah. And it was just a bash Splinter Fox episode because of how much he loved AEW and how much I told him it sucked. I'm just glad he's on my side now.
He's come around. It was pretty wild too, because I even said that after we got off the air, like I turned everything off and I turned to producer and I was like, man, he says he doesn't even watch anymore, like that he doesn't watch live at all, and he used to be the one where it's like, oh, here you go, I don't know why you guys don't watch, I love it,
right?
And then in his defense, he would say, in all fairness, he didn't believe it would last forever. He thought it had a shelf life, but he was enjoying so much of it. For him to at this point be all like, this is not even... So there's always been a sect of us that have said, this isn't what we signed up for, this isn't what we were promised, this isn't what we wanted. And then there's been a larger sect, if I'm being honest, what I believe to be a larger sect of their main audience that was very forgiving of that fact and said, oh, you guys hang on to too much, and oh, shit changes, but for the better. When AEW changes what they say they're going to do, it's for the better. When WWE does it, they're liars and crooks. And you, okay, I get it, right? Totally fine to have that opinion. So for the people who were saying, yes, it's nothing what they said it was going to be, but I love everything that it's become, for those people to start saying, like, this isn't even what it became, like they're starting to be turned off by it, and it's just kind of fascinating. Like, I still think they have a core audience, and I do enjoy, I think, more of it on average than I was previous on average, because it used to be like a single match that I'd be okay, that was cool. Now it's all like, oh, I like this guy, I like this person over here. So it's a little more, but still such a mess that it's all like, I don't always look forward to it by any means. But there's usually little nuggets in there you can get out of it, especially when you just like wrestling in general, to be like, you know what, that was a fun time. So yeah, totally crazy this last week.
Yeah, it's very possible that Splinter Fox will be a fan of the old Bishop. I doubt it, but you know, crazier things have happened. But
no, he specifically told me he was, because that was his beef with someone else on the show, was that they would just get really mad at him and then started ignoring him. And he said, with you and me, at least, we're going to go back and forth with them, because it is the conversation. It is the sports conversation. It is fuck your Penguins.
Conversation.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, fuck your Penguins, my Cowboys are the best. We're winning. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why I definitely gotta get back on track with my show, because no matter what, on Terrible Wrestling Takes podcast on all platforms, it still exists. It's not going anywhere. At TW Takes podcast on Twitter, is that it literally, it's always a conversation. I really love now that major wrestling podcasts are talking about the infrastructure of AEW and how that they lack accountability on their infrastructure. And I had an entire episode that was about the $1 billion that Tony Khan always talked about having, and the $1 billion infrastructure of what WWE had. And that was just my argument the whole time. It has nothing to do with the quality of wrestling or wrestlers. If wrestling sucks on WWE, they will use their infrastructure to make it better. Their training facilities, their teachers, all those different aspects. Even if, perfect example is Jimmy Uso. Too many DUIs, what do? Let's team him up with Roman, put him as close as we can there to help right his ship so he's a proper performer, right?
Yeah. And they moved his wife over to his show. It was like, let's keep the family tight. Let's keep the family helping each other.
And that's what the infrastructure can allow to help grow your performers and the quality of your show. That's all I was ever saying. There's incredible talent over there. Yeah. There's zero fucking infrastructure, and it's being exposed now. And I'm not saying that I was right. I mean, I'm not saying I was right.
Yeah, some things, quote, go without being said.
Right. But my point has always been, if I can say these words because I see it as my, I look on the screen and this is what my eyes are telling me, then I'm telling you it is a legit part of the conversation. I never tried to convince anybody that I was correct about it. Just trying to let you know that this is actually how I see it, so the discussion can be had. But you're not. I will also tell you are not correct if you think that they have great referees, because ever since the Matt Hardy incident with Sammy Guevara, the referees have gone completely downhill. And I've heard several podcasts. Yours was the first one, and then so many afterwards giving Paul Turner credit for what he did with Hangman.
Yep. So,
I mean, maybe they are taking steps in the right direction. And if Paul Turner's getting so much praise for what he did, this could be a nice latch-on point for the rest of the referees to say, hey, if we step in and do the right thing, we will get positivity out of everything going on. And that's a high-profile match that happened, too. So,
yep. Yeah, when you were saying that, I was about to let you finish so I could defend Paul Turner in that specific instance, because that was one of those things where you could tell it was completely devoid of any kind of input from the back. Paul Turner got involved because he's been around long enough and seen enough to know when something's truly gone wrong, and he was not going to allow someone to get hurt worse. Not while he was in there. And because Miss Amanda Jane's always defended him as what she believes to be the best referee on the thing. And I said, look, I'm not saying he's not. I just haven't seen something that tells me that he is. But seeing that moment, I go, maybe some of these guys are very unlucky that he's not in the ring at the time. Because he stepped in and between, and you could see him talking to everybody in the ring. He got medical in there immediately. It was like, this is it. And he just flat out ended it. The last time someone tried to end a match.
That was my problem. Yeah, the Aubrey one, right?
Yeah, last time Albie tried to end the match, that they came from the back.
Yes. made a
here's the
whole
other
thing
deal.
about it.
Yep. They came out and said, you don't stop matches, we do. And it
On
was like,
pay-per-view.
what?
On pay-per-view, they did that. It was insane.
Yeah.
They should. How do you? And that's. I felt bad for her then. And hey, you guys had major criticism of her. I haven't watched enough to even care to criticize again. That she's become a character on TV as opposed to a referee. Maybe that was the turning point where she was like, okay, they told me to be a character. I'm gonna be a character instead of being a referee. Because that way she did the right thing.
Yes. She tried to do the right thing.
Climbed the fucking scaffolding. Like 4
Here's the
minutes
other
later.
weird part. Not to get really into it, not only was it on pay-per-view, it was in
They did a
pay-per-view
whole
with an
episode
empty
about it.
arena. You know what I mean? So if you were ever going to stop a match
that
where it
one
wasn't...
empty arena.
Yes, it was.
No, it wasn't.
It was their own people. There was no actual fans in it. It was their own fans.
Oh yeah. You're right.
Yeah.
You're right. Yes.
So if you were
Yeah.
ever going
Yeah.
to be able to stop a match where it didn't impact the ending and it also didn't leave the fans not going home and feeling shorted, that was
Right.
it. You had every reason to get out. It was crazy.
Yeah, because they did. The spot they did off that lighting rig or whatever was around people. So I always have the picture of it happening within around fans. But you're right. Yeah, I did. I did an episode called All Out on AEW because it happened at the All Out pay-per-view, and I was so disgusted
Yeah.
that they allowed that to happen. Like I stopped watching the pay-per-view and did the episode because like I just what am I supposed to do?
Yeah. But I do agree
before
with
we get
with Paul Turner stepping in the way he did, maybe that at least gives a light that the other referees can look at to be like, maybe it is okay to step up. And Tony and everyone being praised for that thing might give Tony a little bit more leniency or power towards the refs of like, hey, Paul did make the right call there, and we have made bad calls in the past and been reamed for it. Maybe it's time to let some of these refs have some of that power back because they know.
right.
You know?
Right.
So,
But yeah, I wanted to say before we got too far into it, man, what's in your glass?
I'm doing coffee. I got vodka. I ran out of Terramana, but I did put my Terramana bottle up here in my new setup
Nice.
with my my boozes. This coffee over here, that's Baron Corbin's coffee. It's from Ignorant
nice.
Gentleman. The Dark of Night Roast. It was really good.
What's it like? $12 a pound? $20 a pound?
I don't know. It was a Christmas gift, so
Oh, nice.
I'm sure you could find it online. And ignorantgentleman.com, I assume.
Etsy.
It was on Etsy? I don't like the sound of that. We got ourselves some bootleg coffee, it turns out. It explains the label.
Hey, I got this awesome hat on Etsy.
Your hat?
Yeah, I was.
You
trying to
bought
get
your
merch.
own bootleg merch? Someone bootlegged
was
your stuff
trying-
and you went for it?
I was trying to make bootleg merch for people to sell.
Wow. You know what? I think if I found some of my own bootleg stuff, I might buy one or two, depending on the price.
Dude, the greatest bootleg shirt turned into a real shirt of all time.
You think more so than the KO?
Bishop, go, go, go.
Oh, that's a good one.
Well, yeah, because they actually made this on the ramp.
Oh, they made
KO
it live?
did his in the back.
Yeah.
Yeah, when you don't remember that when B Team was a thing, they started coloring their own shirt. They were on the ramp doing this with a Sharpie.
No, of course I don't remember that much about the B Team.
B Team was amazing.
I was not into it.
Dude. Okay, so I was thinking about the B Team because a lot of people are talking about them as well because they think Triple H is going to bring back everyone for no reason. But when I thought about them, I did love them. I thought it was so entertaining. And then, do you remember the Deleter of Worlds when they had the championship match?
Mm-hmm.
And Bo Dallas did the impression of Bray Wyatt?
Yeah.
Okay, so that particular artistry of professional wrestling, I think, is how Vince used Bray Wyatt wrong, because I felt like he never fit in with Matt Hardy. But the essence of Bray was enough to get me invested in the B Team.
Yeah.
And what we're seeing out of Bray now, I don't think is ever going to be tampered with again the way he was in the Deleter of Worlds. I think we're in for something spectacular.
Yeah, I wish that... I don't feel like anyone who was involved in the actual creative of Bray... I don't think we'll ever get the full story. I think that's what I'm trying to say. Because I think that everyone involved is going to be so professional to begin with. They're going to be so fair to each other to begin with. And I think a lot of them will have just flat out moved on enough to where they go, yeah, it was really tough, but we got where we were going and we did what we did. I don't think we'll ever get... I would love to have been a fly on the wall during all the creative meetings that Bray had with creative and Vince, and to find out what was brought to the table, how it was changed and when, and get that full story, because his creative journey specifically is so fascinating to begin with.
Yeah.
You know, if we got what we got and it was heavily tampered with and filtered, what the fuck was put in front of him? And if what the fuck was put in front of him was so outrageous that you kind of go, fuck yeah, it needed to be edited. At the same time, do you go, did it need to be edited this way though? Like, right. You know what I mean? Like, the second guessing on all of it, I think would be amazing to know. And I don't think we'll ever truly find out. But I do wonder now, there's no way Triple H is just saying, Triple H isn't going to Tony Khan this shit. You got 20 minutes, just go do what you want to do. You know what I mean?
Right.
He's even said that he thinks he's absolutely one of the most brilliant creative minds in all of entertainment in general, but that he can be a little bit of a wildfire, you know, that you got to rein him in, you got to help direct it and stuff. And I do think Triple H is going to do that. And I wonder what we're going to get. I think that that's what people say about Vince Russo, right? He was best when Vince was his editor. Vince Russo threw everything at McMahon, right? And McMahon would throw a bunch away, keep onto some stuff, tune up other things that, like, any one guy on their own devices was not quite right, you know? So I think that there's going to be such a cool balance with Triple H and Bray, 'cause I think that they both know that they want each other to look good here, you know?
Yeah, and I think that's what we're seeing now anyway, is that, you know, they'll do a promo, but in the beginning of the night, you get that flash of things, and then later in the night, you get another flash of things.
Yeah.
I think you're right about I do think there's an aspect of, you know, all right, you have 4 minutes in this slot. Give me your best 4 minutes. Okay, what do you need to connect the dots to the next level? Mm-hmm. Okay, I can put that here. I can put that there. You know, I do think it's better. One thing that I was thinking about when you were talking about the creative restraints before is the WrestleMania match against Randy Orton. I remember Bray being on Radio Row, and I was obsessed with Bray Wyatt interviews back then. And he said, I don't want anyone to follow us. And that match is regarded as a huge disappointment. I'm wondering if I want to know what he has to say about that match. Like, if he deconstructed it back. Is it the camera angles that fucked it? Is it the 3D projections didn't come off the way they were supposed to? You know? Because conceptually, it was done so different than any other match we've seen before. Yes. Or was the match 4 years ahead of its time? You know? So I'd love to hear the story about that one.
I think that I do wonder what the initial everything was. If the compromise became, we're going to project this stuff down on the canvas and we'll just take a aerial shot and that's the effects you're going to get. What did he want to do before then? What were the ideas and how you'd even get that done? And if that was the compromise, then I would say that would be the compromise that destroyed it. I do think that the projections on the mat did not connect in the stadium, and only there was zero connection in stadium. There was a little connection on TV, but there was no wide connection of like, this is cool and doing a thing. I remember when we first saw the first projection, I remember being at home. Oh wait, which one was that? 30? Yes, I was at home.
32, I think.
Yeah, 32. It
was Orlando.
33.
33.
33, because that's where Bayley had her first win in her first WrestleMania and win, and she retained, and that was all very peculiar. And Naomi regained her title there too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I remember watching it and just being like, oh, that's neat. But I didn't go, oh shit, You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was like, that's kind of neat. And then they did another one. I was like, is that a bug or what are those, worms or something? Like, it was.
Yeah.
What the fuck's going on? You know?
And I think it was during the daylight too. I don't think their match. Yeah, I don't think their match went off when it was dark out. So yeah, I wonder. I want to hear the story about that because I do think it was creative. It just like you said, you're trying to like figure it out on the fly, and it just wasn't him.
Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy, but Bray's amazing. He's a genius, and it's clear all the time because I mean, we talked about it when he left. I was like, we may never see Bray wrestle again. Like, if he's going to tap into his brain and can go a little unhinged and make movies that end up on Tubi and stuff, like, why wouldn't he do that? Like, look, you don't have to be the next Rob Zombie. You know what I mean? Like, you don't have to go straight to that level to build yourself to that level. Like I'm saying, like, he doesn't have to be the CM Punk of horror movies where he goes out there and gets his ass kicked twice on such a large platform that he can't ever come back. You know what I mean? You can start the way you're supposed to start and not just say my name means more than my product, you know? Which has been CM Punk's MO his entire career. But, I was going to ask him about Bray. So I do wonder this.
I'm drinking vodka as well. I have it with Gatorade, but
vodka Gatorade. What kind of Gatorade is it? Lemon lime?
Lemon lime.
Yeah, classic. That is classic vintage. That's the original flavor, isn't it not?
I believe so. So.
That is OG. OGG. Yeah. That's like an UGG. You're drinking
ZS,
UGGs,
though.
dude.
I'm drinking OGGZS, zero sugar.
You know, I did see there was some zero sugar Gatorades out there, and it got me pretty like excited. What's the carb rate on it? What's the carbs on it?
I think it's like a half a carb for the whole thing. But I do the packets. I make my own because
those are the ones I saw.
Bottles. Yeah,
those are the ones I saw. I've been using the zero sugar Sonic ones.
Packet. Yeah.
I thought about getting them. Do they taste like the real deal?
A little too extra on the fake sugar, but the flavor is there.
All right.
But you get that aftertaste, you know.
Oh,
the fake sugar.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right.
But with vodka, even better. So.
Yeah, that balances it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I've said that about a lot of things. I've been saying that since high school. Vodka balances it out. Do you think, I mean, we'll get into the shows here in a minute because I don't have any news, but a quick shout out because you said it, you said his name at least. It was yesterday, Triple H's birthday, so happy birthday, Papa H.
Another one.
Yeah. Fucking so crazy when you think about where we're at now. And like, DX running everything the way they are is so interesting. In and of itself, it's just fascinating. I've seen some people say that, like, can we admit now that Triple H being in charge is almost not at all different than when Vince was? I was like, it's way different if you're watching. But if you just click in once every 3 months and click out, yeah, you probably wouldn't see a difference. But if you watch it and pay attention, you see a ton of differences.
I think the show structure of SmackDown is one of the biggest ones. Mm-hmm. I think I rewatched SmackDown yesterday, and I go, this show's insane.
Yeah.
I really don't think anything happened, and we'll talk about it. But like, it just boom, it flew by like that, and it just there's something different. Yeah, it feels different,
and everything about a lot of the decisions that are being made feels different. They feel like they come from a different source. You know what I mean? Like sometimes it doesn't even feel like it's coming from Triple H. Sometimes it feels like somebody gave that to Triple H, and he's running with it. You know what I mean? Where almost everything go ahead.
I think that's because us as a fan base have streamlined our thought process to black and gold is what Triple H wrestling looks like. And I don't think we know the broad scope of Triple H's mind. It's like when everyone was told that Paul Heyman took over SmackDown and, oh my God, SmackDown's awesome. Look what Paul Heyman's doing. Well, you know, like Vince McMahon still ran SmackDown, right? Like, it's not, you know, so we get conditioned by who we think these people are. There's a chance that this is just, you know, Triple H using more toys, more tools in the toolbox.
And I even said it when he first came over, because a lot of people were saying like, oh, we're gonna get like a black and gold era of this, and oh, NXT is gonna go back to the way that it was, and all this stuff. And I was like, or Triple H might be really smart instead, and leave some things in place and grow and do things multiple ways.
Yeah, what was it? SummerSlam? People are like, oh, that reminded me of Black and Gold NXT. Rewatch SummerSlam. It's not an NXT takeover.
Nope.
At all.
Nope, it's a lot like the SummerSlam before. It was a lot like the Vegas SummerSlam.
It's extremely close to the Vegas SummerSlam.
It was real close.
It really might be damn near identical to the
beat
Vegas
for beat,
SummerSlam.
man. I get the two mixed up sometimes.
It's pretty close. And you were at one of them.
I was at one of them. And I think sometimes I go, was I at Nashville? I wasn't at Nashville, was I? Did I make it?
Was I indoors? Was I outdoors? Was it cold? Did the credit card machines work? I'm not sure.
Yeah. Ooh, what the fuck? Where was I? Yeah, absolutely. So it's funny. Before we get into the show of SmackDown, I do want to ask you, because I went to ask you before, do you think Bray showing up in WWE was a statement in and of itself? Because I've kind of toyed with this in my mind a little bit. There's no way that Tony Khan never reached out to Bray at all. There's just no way. I mean, we know that they actually met. We know that they did talk. The way that Tony talks about it was that it was a lot less business and it was at somebody's birthday party and it was the first time he ever talked. But there's no way that didn't say, hey, we're here at a party. We're going to be enjoying this. But here's my number. Give me a call when you want to sit down and talk some business. You know what I mean? There's no way that wasn't broached at all. There's just no way.
Right.
Do you think Bray never going to AEW? Because he was gone for 18 months, man. A year and a half. The longest non-compete that we've ever heard of was Renee Young having a 1 year. So even if he was on some crazy non-compete where we're like, look, we really just don't want to put you on TV. Because the other thing is they pay you through your non-competes, which is crazy. Yeah. So there's no way they're going to pay him for a year to sit at home. Unless they really are. And maybe they were. Maybe that was their game all along. Maybe the whole thing's been in the bag and been working on. Because maybe it was all like, oh yeah, no, I'm just home. They've put me on a non-compete for a year because we're going to renegotiate at the end of this contract. You know what I mean? Like maybe that was the whole thing. Would be a total shock. But do you think that Bray coming back to WWE and not going to AEW was in and of itself a statement? Because we've always talked about how much creative freedom he needs and would want. And I'm trying to think of what friends we know he has in AEW. And I mean, apart from some of the obvious people he would know, I don't think any of us really know who he was like close to. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I think. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out if it is a statement, what statement is it, right?
Yeah.
I think the biggest statement it would make is that the lore of AEW, where the talent gets to do what they want, is just not true.
Yes.
Right? The talent does not get to do what they want. Because if they could, then Bray Wyatt's sitting in the production truck going, this is how I need everything parsed out completely. You know, angles this way, all that stuff. Kind of like we were talking about the WrestleMania match. So if it makes a statement, that's statement one. I do think, though, the one thing that's not being talked about, if it is making a statement, is the creative direction in which Triple H is going to take it. Mm-hmm. He's not iron fisting this the way we all presumed Vince McMahon was. He is doing kind of what we've said at the beginning of all of this when I came on. I think it was episode 1, that every piece of talent now feels comfortable because they've been given enough rope. Mm-hmm. And when their rope is done, that's when you hang yourself. Like you are allowed to go out there and you have enough rope. So if anything, that's probably the biggest note, is that we don't know Bray, we don't know Triple H, we don't know how things are run. If we put all the pieces together, though, the statement that would be made is that Bray is the type of talent that they will give any and all creative latitude to become the wrestler they want to be, the performer they want to be. For instance, I don't think Strowman gets the same latitude, but is more confident with the consistent paycheck and creative direction of WWE as opposed to an AEW. But Strowman's not fucking important right now, and his character work in wrestling is not good.
Counter argument with Braun, it's not probably that he's not given as much rope. He doesn't ask for as much rope.
Doesn't require.
Yeah,
as
he
much
just
rope?
doesn't need it.
Okay.
He prefers the collaboration and the direction. Where
So
Bray
that's
prefers
what
less.
I'm curious. That's what I'm curious about this. You know, if it makes a statement, because I want to give an honest answer, because I do think it is like the biggest fuck you to AEW, right? But I think
there's a little bit of a fuck you.
But I don't think that's why I think the statement is AEW isn't openly creative the way WWE could. Maybe it's because WWE has $1 billion infrastructure and AEW just has $1 billion and they don't have an open pocketbook for Bray to be able to do this stuff, but the stuff he needs already exists within WWE. So if Bray wanted to create the Wyndham 6 TV show streaming on Peacock this week, and he's got 30-minute episodes, you know, every week for the next 12 weeks, that can happen because WWE has an infrastructure. You know what I mean? So like the statement being made that like AEW is just too young to handle a talent as good as Bray Wyatt, who is creatively outside the ring, he doesn't need to wrestle. That's another thing I wanted to say when we get all that stuff. Bray Wyatt doesn't need to wrestle. He doesn't need to step in the ring at all, ever again. And he will captivate us because we don't care if he wrestles again. We just want to see what he's going to do. So I think that's probably the biggest statement they make, is that WWE is the place to harness creativity and AEW isn't.
Yes, I think in one aspect, a massive thing here is if you really are passionately creative and have ideas, that this is the platform for that. I think the other thing that's kind of secondary, but on a similar note, is the reason why I think it's important that it's Bray is if of all people, Bray Wyatt trusts the WWE with his character more so than AEW, that's massive. Because, I mean, even, shout him out here before, Sam Roberts, Not Sam Wrestling Podcast, he did a whole episode when Bray was released about Bray's career. You can find it on his YouTube. Some fantastic editing done on that one. And part of that story was every time the WWE caught fire with Bray and dropped the ball, and how Bray caught fire again, like all the way to the point where they literally set him on fire. But if he can see that after a dozen attempts and failures because of the WWE creative, and if he truly believes that his vision would have worked had it been done differently, and if everyone around him believes too, and I believe personally that it would have worked if they allowed it to be what it was meant to be, it's a huge statement to say, I'm more willing to give WWE 15 chances than I am willing to give AEW one. And I think it's kind of like you said, the idea that, hey, AEW might not be the creative oasis that everyone's trying to say that it is. There's a lot more to it that's going on back there, and a lot more like, I can't imagine he did it strictly because, well, the production's pretty good. You know what I mean?
Right. No, absolutely. And I do think you're right. I think it is about, well, no, you know what? I don't think it's about WWE getting a 15th chance. I think it's trusting Triple H over what Vince would have given him. Because honestly, no, I don't think he was. That narrative, is Bray ever going to come back, was under Vince and what has happened to his character from there. I think him and Triple H had an honest conversation, and this is what he got, that creative latitude to be able to be himself and thread his character and his work however need be. I don't think, because you take a mind like Triple H that we presume is more of the times, because even all this DX stuff, they were too old to be acting that way, but they were of the times. They were of the late 90s. They were of, the early 2000s. So being able to be of today in your perception of the character and allow a person of today to think about their thing, that's what I think it's more about. I don't think it has anything to do with WWE as a whole, because we talked about it. Bray can find a platform in Hollywood to tell his story. He doesn't need WWE to tell his story. I think he is that creative enough. So I do think this is more of a trust in Triple H opposed to a trust in Tony Khan.
Yeah, it'd be a bigger statement if he came back while Vince was there. But because Vince is gone,
that would have been a major statement if he came back for Vince. But I do think Vince being gone would lead you. lead the assumption that it was an honest conversation with Triple H.
I agree. Do you think that they would have ever gotten to a place, let's say Vince never left? Do you think that Bray would have ever gotten to a place where he would have gone and tried AEW? Because I think that if he would have already.
It's tough. I think he's smart enough to see the writing on the wall that if maybe there was a possibility for him to return with Vince in charge, that he could accomplish what he wanted to. I don't necessarily know if, because myself and other podcasts out there have not been so kind to the, let's say, after effects of John Huber's passing and AEW and kind of how they've displayed things, we'll say. I didn't know John Huber. I don't know Bray Wyatt. But if that was a friend of mine, I would think it was a little disingenuous how all of that looked. So I don't know if he would have gone thinking that he would be in the best care anyway. So
I was wondering too, how many things can you that are truly like creative? There's a lot of creative that happens, right? How many things in AEW that are truly like out of the box creative that have worked? You know what I mean?
And look, I'm not a creative person. Like, my son's a creative. The way he thinks, I'm too analytical, tactile, and functional, and he is all up here. And we get arguments all the time because I can't see what he's saying, right? And then it takes me a while to get there. I would assume that someone like Bray, let's say he's building this major story leading to a pay-per-view in AEW, and then the anniversary of John Huber's passing comes up, they're going to want to pull Bray out of that character to come out in the middle of the ring to do the celebration. And I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but in a creative concept, that's not something Bray does. He sticks with his story he's telling until the bitter end. So that kind of too much reality in AEW, I don't think ever would have existed on a plane that Bray functions on.
That's true. And even like the closest thing I can think of in a similar but very different way was when Ric Flair retired and had that speech on Raw. They waited for after the cameras to cut for Undertaker to come out and give his respects, but he did it in character, did the intro, did the knee, and then slowly walked back to the back to show the respect there. But hey, it can't be televised. It can't be on
Stone Cold
here.
and Owen Hart.
Yeah.
When Owen Hart passed, everyone gave their emotional and everything, and Stone Cold today will tell you how close him and Owen were and the respect they had for each other, and he'll tell you all kinds of Owen stories. He absolutely loved the guy and all that shit. But the night after he passed in the ring, the last 30 seconds of that Raw is the glass breaking, Stone Cold coming out, grabbing 2 beers, smacking them together, drinking them, and walking out because he couldn't break the character to show the respect.
Yeah, I think he points upwards, but I think that's it. Yeah.
But yeah, something like that. Yeah. So that's that kind of thing in AEW. They don't hold sacred. It's too many. And look, again, if you guys love it, you love it, whatever. But it's too many individuals wrestling. It's not character work. It's not creative freedom.
Yeah. And for right or wrong, right? So, I mean, that was definitely a different era. And the kayfabe, when you say nowadays, we're much smarter, we're much more accepting, we're much more forgiving. But there's a massive part of Bray that is one of the true final kayfabe guys. Like, he still holds a lot of that true to him and his character. Like, we talked about it last week. I think it was episode 1, where he cuts that promo, and we're like, was he in character or was he not? And you're like, I thought he was till I realized he wasn't. You know what I mean? And it's like, and then you see this SmackDown, and he cuts his promo here in the back, and he goes, hey, I didn't get to finish what I was saying. And he goes, this is what I was saying. And you go, oh, that was absolutely a setup for this. Yeah. Like, but it was, like you said, that blurred line where I do feel like he was genuine in how he felt, but he wasn't out of character. Right. You know?
Right. He's so brilliant, man.
He's incredible. And the show did start off, SmackDown, the show being with a Bray Wyatt vignette. You know, his return, he's going to be talking, we're getting more stuff. And it does start out, though, with the Brawling Brutes going to the ring because Sheamus is going to fight Solo Sikoa. And that match happened.
Yeah, like 10 more times, right? Can we get that 10 more times?
Yeah, Sheamus is so fucking good. Like, I'm not trying to take away from anything anybody else did there, but, like, Sheamus, every time he goes out there, he just absolutely crushes it on such a high level. Like, he is so fucking good. Like, I get really annoyed at this point when I hear people be like, I don't know, Sheamus doesn't do it for me. I don't know, Sheamus is pretty boring. And I'm all like, you're not watching.
Right.
You're like, what are you talking about? Like, or people just being like, yeah, I don't get the whole Sheamus thing. When he comes on, I don't even watch. I was like, that's why you don't get it. That's why you don't get it. That's all there is to it.
When I first got back into it, Sheamus got thrown through a table. It was either, I think it was before Survivor Series or whatever, to go film Ninja Turtles or whatever. So I was like, all right, well, I guess I don't get to watch Sheamus. Whatever, he looks fucking dumb anyway. And then he comes back and it's the Respect the Hawk or it's the Sheamus 515. Yeah. Like, I got to watch all of that. And over the last 7 years, what has he done besides reinvent himself, maintain being himself? But from the Brawling Brutes to the bar to everything, man, he just, he's so easy to like. And he's incredibly talented and athletic for a guy in his mid-40s. Early to mid-40s. So I think he's 43, pushing 44. But fuck, man, I love him. And look, we met on an elevator. I didn't ask him for an autograph or a picture because he was eating a TV dinner and it was 1 o'clock in the morning. So I'm a mark, but I'm not an asshole. You know what I mean? Yeah. Had a great conversation with him, and he's just loves performing for us. So shut the fuck up and watch him.
Yeah. He's putting it all out there. He was one of the guys who nearly lost his career, and people don't talk about that enough. There was a year or two he was gone, and it wasn't because he needed time off because of filming. It wasn't because of a family thing. It was because he had such a terrible injury that they didn't think he'd ever be able to wrestle again. And so they quietly send him home to rehab and see what he can do. And up until his return, it was always the conversation of, will he ever wrestle again? So, I mean, I talked to him one time too, and that was one of the things that he kind of brings up is like, hey, this was almost all gone. Like, every match might be my last match. He goes, I can't go out there with any other mentality than that. He goes, it's just because it's the reality of it. So I'm not going to go out there and call it in, you know? And it's just like, fuck, dude. Like, some people would definitely call in their last match. You know what I mean?
Right.
And then so the match itself was amazing. Everything going on with Sammy, the Usos, Solo is perfection. They take Sheamus and they put his arm up in that chair. They do kind of a concerto style smashing of the arm on the stairs with two chairs. It was a lot, but it looked fucking great and brutal. I don't know why they did that to Sheamus just in the non-kayfabe sense. I wonder if he does have an injury he needs to nurse, but if so, that match was fucking crazy good. I wonder if he is going to go film something. That'd be cool. So I don't know what it is but I will say that I don't understand how he could come back from that soon.
Right.
He's going to need to be gone for a while.
Yeah, I saw a reputable Twitter account that I trust retweet something from somebody I don't trust saying, oh, I didn't know Sheamus was getting married. Congratulations. So maybe that's what's happening. But some dirt sheet is reporting reasons why Sheamus isn't on TV. But what I do like about Sheamus getting written off TV is that it happened with the Bloodline.
Yes.
So when he comes back, his beef is with the Bloodline.
Yes.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you, please.
The Brutes and the Bloodline is going to be so good.
You know, I don't fantasy book, right? I don't fantasy book.
Yeah.
But we have the Usos. We have Solo. We have Sammy. And we have Roman. Okay? All I've been thinking is, who is the sixth member that they can get, right? So they can go against... No, the sixth member for the Bloodline to go against the Brutes and Imperium and have a 6-on-6. I want Imperium and the Brutes to team up to take on the Bloodline 6, but I don't know who the sixth one is. And it needs to happen and it needs to happen now. But
In
that's
War Games.
all my mind. What's that?
You can do it in War Games for sure.
Yeah, but you need the 6th one from the Bloodline. We need a 6th one. That's all I've been thinking about since I saw the chair shot. I'm like, we need the 6th Bloodline member to put Imperium and the Brutes together, because you can't have that without Sheamus. Sheamus has to be in there.
Yeah.
And Sheamus and Gunther teaming together with the lackeys behind them, like, let's fucking go.
Now, since you've already started it,
Let's do it.
what I would do, because you can, is you wait till right before or maybe day of. Don't you worry about our 6th member. We've got our 6th member. Boom. The debut of Jacob Fatu. The introduction of Jacob Fatu in a War Games match against Imperium, the Brutes, alongside the Bloodline. That would make him, dude. As long as he's able to do the... Plus, if you've seen some of the crazy shit he's done in MLW, I forget who had the match with, the cage match, but he's willing to do the flip right off of it. Like, he'll moonsault off that son of a bitch.
Yeah, he'll moonsault off that bitch like a motherfucker. Hell yeah.
Yeah. If he came out, was himself, was a wild maniac, was almost like a Solo but bigger, then you think to yourself, we have 2 of these motherfuckers now? And if he does a moonsault off the top onto some big guys like a Sheamus and a Gunther,
Right.
whew, that would make him, dude.
Yeah.
People would already be like, where's the action figure?
Right. I mean, that's the obvious, but it's not going to happen. I just listened to Court Bauer on an interview yesterday, I think it was, and he's all in on keeping his guys. So who knows?
Last I heard about Jacob is he had not re-signed with MLW. That he was allowing that to be more of a date-by-date case.
Allow me to put my keys into the microphone.
That was my last understanding. But apart from that, let's say you wanted to keep it in-house. I don't know that there is somebody else who fits the Bloodline necessarily, except for the fact that you could always, for the fun of it, get Kevin Owens to team up with Sammy, you know what I mean, and be the 6th member in that. And you could even have some tension with Kevin and the rest of the Bloodline during that match. But hey, and then Sammy's like, on behalf of him, let me just say he's fine. Like, he'll be good on this. Like, you know, you have the Sammy as the intermediary. You know, you could always do something like that.
That's what I was thinking too. And again, that's me not giving Triple H enough credit, because he's been doing that already, right? Where he takes, like we talked about it last week, I think on episode 1, where he takes Ali and he puts him in next to Matt Riddle just to get him next to Seth Rollins later. You know, being able to thread things around like that, he can easily bring in KO. They can win the fucking War Games with KO while sowing dissension in Sami Zayn and the Bloodline, because KO is there. They have that ability in storytelling, which would be great. So,
Yep.
yeah. Oh man, you know what? Now I got it. You're right. It goes like this. The Brawling Brutes and Imperium are ready to take on the Bloodline, and then Sami Zayn gets way too hyped. Guys, I have the perfect 6th member. Don't worry about this. I got you, Oos. Let me go get this. I'll get this done. I'll bring it back. And he doesn't shut the fuck up. And he goes and finds the next honorary Oos to bring into the group. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
And you could even see him hand an honorary Oos shirt to KO, who looks at it and like goes, no. Because it has your initials on it, man. This is...
Right.
You know.
What if Sammy showed up with a little KO duct tape right here to go over top of
a little tiny bit of duct tape? That would be great.
Storytelling. That's what we do here.
Yeah. Let's see. So then we do have some... I mean, so all that was awesome. Like you said, the idea that Sheamus is going to come back for Bloodline is great. And if he is getting married, congratulations. Let's see. Rey Mysterio runs into the Imperium. Bray Wyatt. Okay, so this is where the Bray Wyatt promo happens. And he basically says, like, you guys found me. You know what I mean? If you tie it into the last one, you guys found me. I left all these breadcrumbs. You always found me. Every little thing I ever left, you guys found me. And then in this, it's all like, which is going to be a problem. Because you found the true me, who is going to destroy everyone and have no regrets about it. Like, where before it was like, oh my God, he's super babyface. Now you're like, oh, he's a beast. You know, even when he's good, he's bad. I still think people are going to cheer him because, hey, as the Fiend, a murderous clown, he stalked and hunted Miz's children and was still the babyface.
Yeah,
But go ahead.
He did no wrong.
No.
And it's because it's good. That's my issue. And it's like even if he fucks up, it's like when he got lit on fire, we weren't like, oh man, like how you gonna light him up? The story went to him getting lit on fire. And I remember me and you, because we did WrestleMania watch along for that, we're like, but how is he gonna come back from being lit on fire?
Mm-hmm.
You know, and then the metamorphosis of the shedding of the skin and all this, like the beauty in how he tells these fucking stories is like, this is just so fucking good. I don't care what happens. And that's just, that's how it is. And we're going to, he's not a cheer the babyface, boo the heel. He is, this is the story and take it. And maybe that's why it was so hard that WrestleMania, the other WrestleMania match with Randy Orton, that the story didn't hit. But since The Fiend and Funhouse, the story's hit the whole time. He can do whatever the fuck he wants. You know, it just tell us the story, man. Tell us the story, and then we'll just go, you know what? That fucking story was awesome.
You know what's weird about the Randy and Bray story, when you really break it down, like different from all the other Bray stories, is it was almost just two basic wrestling story. It was, we're going to beat this guy down. He joins us because he can't beat us. He turns his back on us. We're surprised. He says, yeah, if you can't beat him, join him, but I'll get to your weakness. And then he takes the title off of the bad guy and walks away. It's very 101 wrestling story. You know what I mean? When you're outnumbered. Did I wonder if for us as fans, it was hard to digest because it's all like, no, we're used to way more complex, deep-rooted stuff coming out of these two guys specifically. For these two guys specifically to have a basic storyline is very weird. You know?
That's why the beginning of what they did with The Fiend was fucking amazing. How Randy Orton kept like turning darker. And he had that fucking promo within the TV and shit where he's looking at himself talking and all that stuff. Like they did some incredible stuff with the possession, and that's why he had to light The Fiend on fire, and they rushed the WrestleMania match that time. So, you know, that's again the point of coming back now, is being able to tell this long-winded story where, to your point, I love you guys. Thank you for bringing me back. I'm so glad I'm here. It's amazing to be on this stage. The Wyndham voice, right? Into the Fiend of it all, so to speak.
Yeah, that I'm just a servant now. I go where the circle takes me.
Remember, I wasn't a good guy when I left. I was a murder clown when I left. Like, that's what he basically told us. Is like, hey, you guys wanted me back. Just remember, I was out for souls, man. I created a void to put John Cena in, so we never saw him again. Like, this is, remember what I did? You don't remember? Okay, this is what I did. And now I'm following the circle to get there. So it's, he's the best. He's the absolute best.
I'm a little confused by the I go where the circle takes me, just as a line in and of itself. Because the circle takes you nowhere. It's a circle. There's no beginning, there's no end.
Maybe that's the point.
Right? You're going nowhere forever. It's not like circling the drain. It's just a circle, right? Then I started thinking about it. If it's a little red circle, maybe Bray Wyatt's just part cat, and he's chasing a laser pointer. Like...
The crazy cat in Alice in Wonderland. Yes.
The Cheshire Cat from Alice in Wonderland, chasing the old laser pointer from the Mad Hatter.
Well, the rabbit had to go down the hole, and here we are.
Yeah, the rabbit went down there. He found the Cheshire Cat chasing the laser pointer. Here we go. And who had a big, crazy, scary smile like the Cheshire Cat? The Fiend. Oh, you can't. I don't want to move it. I'll knock it over. But it's back there.
I promise.
Yeah.
And Alexa.
Alexa's Alice. She was dressed up as Alice in the one. Here we go. Panning over. Boom. There it is. See?
Yeah. The other way. There you go.
This is difficult.
Fucking cameras. You'd never tell.
Yeah, it's tough. If you're listening on podcast
That's why
platform,
I always I always swivel the wrong way to get the words in.
Yeah.
Because I'm looking at it on this side.
Yeah. So
we're just idiots.
Yeah,
with
super excited. Yeah. And just because it doesn't have to be necessarily in chronological orders, we're kind of diving through it all. They did show later on a little clip of the Bray stuff. He said some creepy shit. I don't remember what it all was, and it was. I always find it strange and funny to me that they play the video of Bray, and it's always like so garbled and so hard to understand, and then the next week they play it and it's so crisp and easy to hear. And I'm like, just do that, you know. But
I'm done just on this, the Bray point specifically. I'm done listening to other wrestling podcasts. I used to listen to them all the time. We have a great community of wrestling fans that have podcasts, and that's, you know, how we all met and everything. But I'm done listening to all your guys' shows, because if it's not the person hosting that's doing the digging, they're reading some shit of someone else doing the digging.
Mm-hmm.
WWE trademarked Uncle Howdy or whatever the fuck it is. So that's who this fucking hat character that said Howdy is. So that's Bray's new gimmick, and it's part of the Wyndham. Shut the fuck up and watch, man. People are going way too far in the weeds because they want to figure this shit out. Let Bray tell this fucking story. I don't care what the character's name is, because they will tell me. If not next week, the fucking week after.
The trademark one is the weirdest one to me. And I mean that in regards of like every single outlet that tries to report on trademarks is the weirdest shit to me. Even if you go back and like read up old newsletters and observers and shit. Not that I've gone through them all, so quote me all you want, but I don't recall him talking very much, if ever, about trademark stuff. He would talk about rumors of things. I believe they're going to call this person that, and I think this person might come in under this. But most of the time it was an after the fact. This guy showed up. It looks like they're doing this. But they never were like, hey, this trademark happened, and so we think it's going to be this. Even when Doink first showed up, I was listening to old Arezzi podcast, you know, partner on his show, Pro Wrestling Spotlight. Check it out. And Doink shows up, and he goes, they're simply calling this guy the Clown. He goes, we know it to be Matt Bourne, who we've seen in the past, you know, and this character and that. And they're like, but they're simply calling him the Clown. He goes, I wonder what that's going to look like. They didn't go, it seems like they've trademarked the name Doink. The Doink the Clown.
That's a great clown name.
Yeah, I believe we'll be getting Doink the Clown soon. It was they're calling him the Clown. This is who the performer is. If you liked him before, this is what they've done to him. You know, they had a lot of negative to say about it, but it was there, and they weren't trying to be like, this is the trademark. The trademark one to me is the absolute weirdest, especially when you go down the rabbit hole of it all. And remember, they trademarked the one name for Gunther, and then they didn't use it. But for like a week and a half, it was all people were tweeting about was how this was a horrible thing and how it was terrible and how it was fucking racist and Nazis. And you're like, it was a trademark that happened that they never moved forward with. Like, so what, kind of? You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, was it a name that they didn't equate right away? Did they trademark it and then Google it and say, oh, well, we just won't use the full name? Like, there's so much innocent that could happen there. The fact that they didn't move through with it is stupid. And then they wanted to get like 2 weeks worth of content of like, can you believe how dumb that department is that they didn't even Google it first?
Right.
Or how fast moving is at the department, they don't have time to Google everything. They get a name down, they write it down, they trademark it, and then they do their due diligence after the fact, because trademarks don't happen overnight.
I think they should trademark TONIKANN.
Yeah.
Just to do it.
Yeah.
Just to do it. Don't use it. Just do it.
Yeah.
Why not?
They used to start trademarking all sorts of weird shit.
Fuck yeah.
That's why. I would. If I was sitting in there in the trademark office, I would be like finding out, hey, can I have part of my budget to trademark things to just make people talk about nothing for a while?
Yeah. Yeah. They should trademark Wrestling's Observers News letter. That's what they why not? Just put Z's at the end of each one. Trademark that shit and see what happens.
There was a jobber they used
stupid,
once. They gave him the last name Meltzer, I think. I think it was Dan Meltzer or some shit like that. Yeah, it was so fucking funny. But yeah, the trademark things are so stupid. But yeah, so they do this video package later on. Got all the garble, and then there's this side view that looks, from the angle we got, it looked a lot like the mask, but more prosthetic on a face look. almost
Look
like
the guy from Jeepers Creepers.
The fuck is Jeepers Creepers?
You ever seen that horror movie, Jeepers Creepers?
No, I've heard of it for sure. Let me look up images here. Oh, yeah, maybe something closer to that. I mean, it looked a little less textured and a little smoother and a little more mustachy. Yeah. So, but yeah, I think we might be getting something closer to that. Is what it looks like.
But Sam Elliott.
Yes, exactly. That, but Sam Elliott. And then he goes, howdy.
Yeah.
I don't know. I couldn't say without a shadow of a doubt, listening to the voice, that definitively is a Bray Wyatt character. I will say it's going to be involved with Bray Wyatt. That's not a doubt at all. But if we do fantasy book a little bit, and if you do say things like you said, where you're like, Bray never has to wrestle again. Why would I watch a wrestling show to have people wrestle? That's what you sound like.
Am I wrong?
No, not really. But you could bring back a Bo Dallas or a somebody to be a part of a larger group, or even an Eric Rowan. You could bring back and have him do something with him, and have it. You know, you can have Bray with minions who are doing a lot of the dirty work, and maybe Bray wrestles 4 times a year, and the rest of the time you're having to get through all of his monsters who most people can't get through. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I had fantasy booked the Royal Rumble that Triple H won as Bray Wyatt, Luke Harper, Eric Rowan, that Braun Strowman, the Wyatt family were like of the last 10 left. And the 3 of them would eliminate everyone, and then they would walk over the ropes, and Bray Wyatt would sit in the middle and win the title. Yeah. Like, that type of impact is what I thought that Bray had back then. And that's pre-Fiend shit right there. That's how strong his character work has always been. If they can build to some shit like that, and at Royal Rumble, Roman's forced to put one of the titles up in the Rumble, how awesome would that be? The Wyndham 6 at the end, just sitting there, and then Bray's like, now you walk out. Now you walk out. That'd be fucking amazing. So you're welcome, people. Fantasy booking.
What if he even did it like a pastor style, where he just walks over to them and kind of pushes on their forehead, and then they turn around and like each one of them individually, boom, boom, like he's blessing them on their way out, like.
Right, and Bray, his first match would be the Royal Rumble. He comes in at 30, doesn't touch anyone, and wins the fucking title.
Yep, and just blesses his family members as he walks in, and they just throw themselves out.
Like I said, never has to wrestle.
Yeah.
Tell your story.
He can be more impactful by making you wait to begin with, you know? Let's see, Usos and Sammy backstage again. Like, it's hard to kind of brush over some of that stuff, because I know the problem is it's so fucking good and perfect, and it becomes like we talked for 40 minutes about how we just basically recount the whole thing and talk about how great it was.
Yeah.
But it feels like it's necessary to just kind of like brush it along, because it's all like, look, without spending another 30 minutes here, these guys are perfect.
Look, so if someone's a passive fan right now, if you turn on SmackDown, do it for the purpose of watching what happens with the Bloodline.
Yeah.
And it's because it hits. And if you spend enough time listening to the nonsense, or understand why the handshake between Jimmy and Sammy is so ironically awesome, you know, it's just not who Sammy is. Actually, speaking of the B-Team shirt, I went through the attic and I had a whole tote full of wrestling shirts. One of them is the Underdog from the Underground Sammy shirt. The ska singing and dancing fun guy is not hip Bloodline, you know, yelling yeet through a microphone cool guy Sammy. It's a completely different person. You know,
even the way he says my dog.
Yeah. My dog.
You're the biggest number 2, my dog.
Right. So paying attention to why the character is that way, you just got to go through it. So I guess that's our biggest point of the Bloodline, is that, hey, watch SmackDown for that, and you'll see what wrestling is when it's not in the ring.
Yeah. And to be honest, the Bloodline is some of my favorite television I watch every week. Just flat out end of story. Like, I get the most fun, the most enjoyment. I feel the most connected. Like, It's some of the best TV that's existing in my world right now. Just the Bloodline. Liv Morgan versus Sonya Deville. We got this new kind of, we're getting a really close to Harley Quinn kind of essence out of Liv Morgan, which I say that with a ton of respect because when I first watched the Margot Robbie Harley Quinn, my first thought was, I wonder if she based this off of Liv Morgan. Because I felt like the character seems so connected already to who Liv Morgan is and who's always teetered around being. And when you see Liv Morgan outside of the walls of SmackDown and Raw, when you see her in interviews and you see her do backstage things, she's much closer to the Margot Robbie Harley Quinn than she is to who she is in the ring most of the time. And so to see this kind of leaking over feels like an amped up version of Liv, which also happens to coincide with a similar character in Harley Quinn, which allows her something evil to tap into as well, right? How do you turn yourself up to 11 and then add some? Well, me turned up to 11 is actually really close to this evil character over here, this maniacal character. If I tapped into that and added it to me, match made in heaven is what it feels like. She's got rid of the tears, but she has like almost little clown lines now that are a little jagged, which I'm digging that look. And this version of Liv seems to be laughing at pain. And I feel like that we saw that transmorph happen during the Ronda match, where she started to laugh at being in so much pain that she knew she was about to black out. Like, this is it. I'm done, but I'm not out. But I'll see you later. You know what I mean? Like, she's not no-selling anything, but she's selling it definitely in a different way, half the stuff. She's getting to a certain point where now there's so much pain that this is getting fun now. Pretty interesting.
Yeah, the register.
Yes.
The register of pain is in laughter. It's not in agony.
Yes. And that's not to say that can't happen. You know, like, I mean, look at Conor McGregor. McGregor breaks his leg and says, "Give me a mic."
Right.
Literally snapped a bone in half and said, "Hand me a mic. Your wife's in my DMs, fool." And you're all like, that's how he's registering this right now. You know what I mean?
It's something that really drew me to Stone Cold's podcast, is how you, like, the way he would break down how matches flowed. He talked about registering. It's not necessarily selling. You have to let the audience know that you felt it. And then what did that feeling do to you is the selling. Do you feel the punch? Cool. Now, the way he would sell is that I used to say Stone Cold sells like a 5-year-old throwing a tantrum, right? He would get hit in the face and then he would kick his feet off the ground like this.
Yeah.
You know, but it fucking hurt, right? And we all know what that's like, where, you know, old school, you'd step on a Lego. Not today, Lego's a little softer, but like, you know, you bump your shit, or, you know, you step on something, you're like, you know. But anyway, I think Liv registering the pain as laughter and then her sell is the pass out, I do think is great. But we as fans have to recognize that she's not no selling. She's registering, this fucking hurts. Oh, this hurts, and I love it. Yeah. The only thing I hate about it is that the commentators keep saying Liv is getting more extreme. She lost the Extreme Rules match. She's not extreme. We know that because we watched her be extreme. Or they're saying this is a more extreme version. We watched Liv at extreme, and it doesn't work. So the fact that they keep using extreme is really bothering me. But we talked about this again on episode 1. Liv away from the title and being a character for the audience is a more... You can gravitate to her more that way than you can with her talking about the title.
Yeah. I think that the idea of losing an Extreme Rules match doesn't make you not extreme. It's also, in this regard, it's her origin. She wasn't extreme enough to win there, but she's getting more extreme as she goes. Like, she delved into extreme. I just want to hear a different word. Yeah,
I just want to hear a different word. That's all. It can honestly be an exact synonym for extreme. Just keep saying extreme. It's like, come on.
Yeah,
you know.
Yeah, it's almost like they're gonna try and come out with an Extreme Live shirt, and you go, "Oh, that's why."
Right.
Yeah. It did end in a double count out. I want to know what you feel like Sonya's been in the ring. We saw her in NXT for a match.
It hurts. I was a huge Sonya fan during the pandemic. Unfortunate circumstances happened, and when she came back, her character work was amazing. but she was getting so much better without a fucking crowd during the Thunderdome. Or actually, it was Performance Center because she wasn't in the Thunderdome. Mm-hmm. Without the crowd, she was doing awesome. They built to that hair versus hair match, which turned into Loser Leaves Town. Her and Mandy built to that, and I still remember that because it was investable, and she was performing great. For some reason, her in ring it's not there, and she's losing a bit of her character.
Yep, I think she's. I think she gets really nervous. Yeah, I think she gets real nervous in front of people. Because it feels like she second guesses her steps. Like she's trying too hard to remember stuff. Nothing seems to be coming natural.
Yes. It's not that she can't. It's not that she, doesn't want to. It's that she's trying to remember instead of just doing.
Yeah. And I feel like nothing comes easy for her. And I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I mean, John Cena will go on record and say that he had to work twice as hard as everyone else, not to be twice as better, but to be just as good. Like, that it did not come easy for him or natural to him, and every movement was awkward and it took a long time for him to get to where it was smooth. And I feel like that's what we're seeing with Sonya. She has to work harder than everybody else to look a little clunky. Yeah, I feel a little bummed by it too, because I think that she's got so much to provide, and it's just always a little off. And you know what she's got, so every time she comes out, you go, you know what? This could be great, and then you watch it and you just kind of go like, why isn't this working? And it's like at a certain point you have to start saying it's the same factor that's not working. And yeah, I think she's in her own head too much, and I think she should relax. And I mean, and at the same point, what the fuck do I know? Nobody.
Right. Honestly, I did tell you this though, I loved her appearance and maybe lack of thinking when she was in NXT.
Yes.
Not last week, the week before. Yeah, when she was with Toxic Attraction, I go, oh, this can be something. Mm-hmm. This looks good.
Yeah.
She looked very comfortable there.
But then she had the match, and the match was not great. Because she had the match with, I believe it was Alba Fire. And so it was all like, yeah, in those other moments where she was like, yeah, I mean, it's just such a weird start and stop stutter kind of
I wonder if that's the case then, that she's been pulled in so many different directions since I don't remember the exact moment, but since she stopped being a figurehead, she hasn't had something consistent to latch onto. I wonder if that's the case.
Yeah, could be for sure. But I'm wishing her the best. I think she's awesome, and I want to see more and better.
Right.
Let's see. Braun Strowman calls out Omos to do a nose to chest standoff. Dude, how fucking big is Omos?
Big.
Like, you always think he looks really big, and they always put him against smaller people, and then you see him against Bobby, and you go, that's crazy, man. He makes Bobby look small. But in this one, I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, to make Braun Strowman look small,
and he did, dude.
Good.
He made Braun Strowman look small.
Yeah.
And then he had a hard time pushing him, but they did it anyways, and it was what it was. And
yeah. I'm over the camera angles. I don't need you to put the camera at Omos's feet to tell me that he's massive. Like, when he comes out and they got the camera shooting straight up, like, I'm good.
To be honest, I think it pulls away. The more I see that shot, the smaller I think that he actually is, because I feel like it's compensating in a crazy way. Where I think that every time they do just a straight on shot and you see the people around him, you go, oh my God, he towers over them. But when you do the foot thing, you just go like, yeah, everyone looks like that when you have a camera like that.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? I think that if they honestly shot him from the side, or even honestly shot their actual angle instead of kneeling, if they just shot their actual angle a little bit tilted, you'd be like, man, they got to tilt their camera up to catch him in the shot. That's crazy. But when you're like laying on the ground doing it, it just looks so forced that you go, is he not that tall?
And when I met him, I didn't think he was that tall.
Almost?
I wasn't impressed. Yeah, I wasn't impressed by his height. As I saw him in the same hotel that I saw Sheamus in, and his height really didn't impress me. Like, my old basketball coach is a great friend of mine to this day. He's 6'5", and he always makes me feel small. And almost, he made me feel like just as small. I know he's bigger than 6'5", but it just, I didn't feel like, fuck, man, God damn, he's huge. And not at all.
Yeah.
But they're doing a good job now, showing us how big he is.
I'll be honest, when I ran into Braun Strowman in a hotel, I remember thinking just nonstop, I was like, God, that guy's fucking massive. You know, like that dude's a fucking wall.
Well, and to his credit, he's always shredding, leaning out, and finding new ways to reinvent his body. So who knows? Maybe you met someone that was twice as thick as he is now.
That's true, too. I think that this is a really cool visual, and I have every bit of anticipation that this match will not be good. I just can't imagine it's going to be good.
Correct. Blue Boyd's in the chat. Who's the opposite of Gargano? Who was he?
Almost.
Oh, okay.
Almost for sure. There's no doubt about it. Because Almost gets in the ring, and you look at him and you go, God damn, he's so big. Every time Gargano gets in the ring, no matter who he's standing next to, you go, God, he's so small. You know?
Yeah.
Like, you're wowed in a whole other way. You know what I mean? Like, this is impressive. The other one's disappointing. Like, Gargano, they need to shoot from the ground up. Fuck.
Gargano, they need to shoot.
Yeah, just
in
full
the pasture.
Just shoot him into space. Yeah, and then we get what's this backstage? Oh yeah, Drew McIntyre had that little promo back there where he says he wants Killer Cross in a steel cage match as he gets real fucking wrestler 101, yelling like Ultimate Warrior, and we all know how good his promos were always regaled. He's trying so fucking hard, dude. Just relax. But I mean, that's kind of his MO.
Yep. All right, what else?
Yeah. I'm wondering if that match is like I like Cross so bad. Like, I like him a lot. I don't know if this is helping anybody. All right, so we got Damage Control versus Raquel Rodriguez and Shotzi for the Women's Tag Team Championship match. I'm trying to remember this match. I'm looking through it.
I tell you what, I watched it twice and I still don't remember it. I think we have a Damage Control oversaturation.
You shut your damn mouth.
Listen, I'm not saying I don't enjoy them, because every time I see them at the beginning, I'm like, it's Sonya style. It's not as bad, but it's Sonya style. You see Damage Control? Okay, here we go. This is what we got. What do we get? Wait a second. How can these three women be this talented and it feel like nothing's happening?
Yeah. I also think that as much as people want to talk about how good Black and Gold was and how, look at, he's bringing all these NXT people back, I think one of the biggest handicaps we're seeing right now is Triple H putting Black and Gold talent with Black and Gold talent, because it's let's run it through again, and it's not a let's get better now. It's this feels constantly like sparring. It feels constantly like training. None of it looks like a match. Candice and Io were the worst about it last week, in a disappointing fashion because of how good they both are. Literally, they were doing the kinds of motions you see in training where the people don't touch each other. They're just practice falling.
Right.
And you're watching it going like, come on, like, what the fuck is this? But I think that putting Shotzi, Raquel, Io, and Dakota, I think putting them together is the problem, because they are so comfortable together, but they're not Sheamus comfortable, right? Sheamus gets comfortable with you, and he's going to knock your head off. Brett and Sean were comfortable in the ring and uncomfortable backstage. These are people who are comfortable with each other all the time, and they don't know how to turn it up a notch yet. So that's why you got to put them in there with people.
Yeah, it's kind of like if you have a buddy and you work with your buddy. I know this because I work with my buddy. Where's the line?
Yeah.
Are we going to be buddies while we're working, or you know what? How about we don't talk? Let's get through the work and then we'll talk afterwards, because you stay too much on that plane that it was before you clocked in. So I can see what you're saying, where now that they clock in and they're doing the job, you're still with your buddy and you're still being too much buddy as opposed to doing the job.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
That's what
and it's sacrificing on the opponents, like you were saying last week on episode 1, and I think that happened this week too.
Yeah, it makes them look bad for no reason. Where I think realistically, you put Io and Dakota in there with people who've been around for a while, like it or not. Be in there with a Dana Brooke. Put Dana and Tamina out there. Let Tamina knock them on their ass, and say, yeah, when you're in here, you gotta fight back, buddy. You know what I mean? Like, get them to toughen up, and so that way, when Io and Dakota are in a sense where they can take on Tamina left and right, that when they get in there with Raquel, they're like, hey, Raquel, we work a little stiffer now out there because we want everyone to see it, you know, like we're not playing anymore, but we'll take you out for drinks after, you know, like it feels a lot like playing. You see a lot of playing out there, and I think that's a total bummer. And I think the problem is he's putting friends with each other too much. Put veterans in there too, you know. And why aren't we seeing Xia Li? She kicked someone's head off one time.
Yeah.
She cried a little.
It was rough.
But, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't get it.
Honestly, I do think, and I don't know when this is going to end, because I used to say it all the time in the Vince era, but I do think that there is this introductory phase that's been happening since SummerSlam. So it's only been about 2-3 months where this is everyone we want you to see. That's what I think this whole point of the faction stuff is anyway. But this is everyone we want you to see, because in essence, what is Damage Control really doing except being on TV? You know, they're not really building much, especially with Bayley not getting the title at Extreme Rules. So we're getting the exposure to Damage Control, but what is their accomplishment? What is happening besides being exposed? And what other challenges are coming towards Damage Control? It's not. So I just think there's a chance, and this isn't me sticking up, it's trying to make sense of it. Is this more about exposure until they do hit the ground running on more stories? Mm-hmm. You know, because that's what's happening with Hit Row and Legato right now. You know?
Yeah, it does feel like exposures for exposure.
I got to pee after
that. We had Ronda Rousey doing a backstage interview saying she doesn't care about the fans. She didn't come back for them. She doesn't want to win for them. And she was not going to do an open challenge, but she's probably doing an open challenge next week, it sounds like. So there's that. And I think Ronda did fine. And I don't really think there's much else to say there. We got Bray Wyatt's glitchy broadcast, which we talked about. Rey Mysterio versus Ludwig Kaiser was really good. But there's part of me that still just wasn't. I mean, does every leader of a faction storyline have to be that, oh, you have a chance at my title, so now you're going to go through all of my cronies and then get to me? I just think that there's a certain point where we belittle the cronies too much. You know what I mean? Like, if every time someone's going to be going up against the head of a group, they also beat the shit out of all their cronies one-on-one up there. Like, I guess to a point it proves that they deserve the shot, but also to a point it disproves why the leader has them by his side. If that makes sense. I think that if you're going to stand by your guys and say, hey, these guys are the wall to get through, it should be more difficult than it seems to be. You know
well,
that
was one of the brilliant points about main event Jey Uso. Is that you had a guy that can beat anyone in a singles capacity any given night.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I agree that the devaluing who's beneath the leader does a disservice to the group. But I think it's so formulaic that looking at it that way is just not a natural concept. But I agree. It shouldn't be a final boss scenario. I would actually like to see it happen the other way, you know, lose. And see what happens, you know. But take it. Then I'm sure we'll get to it. But I think it was last week anyway. Dominic beating AJ, right? The crony beats the leader, but it's because it's heel versus face. So, you know, and it's not solo. It's two groups. I'm with you.
Yeah. No, I mean, it's also not to discredit. It's fucking Rey Mysterio. It should be tough to beat Rey Mysterio more so than anybody else, right? Like, he's Rey Mysterio. So I didn't think of it in that regard necessarily being like, really, Rey? It was just kind of like, ooh, we're going to just have Rey go through these guys. I'd almost think that you'd almost want to see Gunther be smarter than the formula and have Ludwig and Giovanni even tell Gunther, hey, we'll take him out, and have Gunther just be like, no, guys, do not underestimate Rey Mysterio. You leave him for me. Like, or you can... look, you won't win this, but if you weaken him up, like, let them get disqualified early. Let them get disqualified to do the damage. Like, we don't expect to win this, like, but for them to expect to win it, I think makes them look kind of dumb, because it's also Rey Mysterio. Like, what the fuck, dude? You should not expect to win it. Like, who was that? I think it happened, was it this week or last week? Oh, it was on NXT. D'Angelo had Stacks go up against Shinsuke, and the whole point wasn't to win. It was just to survive it and not give up.
Right.
You know what I mean? And he even tells you, like, you did better than I expected. And you're like, great. Yeah. That's the story right there, is that, like, no. I'm not putting up you against people I think you'll win. I'm putting up people who I know you'll lose to see what you got in you, see your heart. You know, like, that's awesome. That's against the formula. It's amazing. Then there was all the Logan Paul stuff at the end, which I liked, but there's not a lot to it. Jey Uso comes out, does his shit, gets rocked by Logan, and now it's like, did Sami Zayn not be able to control Jey, and the bloodline carries on.
I tell you what, just quickly, it was a better end to SmackDown than I thought it was going to be. Mm-hmm. To think that was going to close the show, I was like, oh, this is kind of a dud to go out on, but they did a good job at, giving you more story, like you said.
Yep. Let's see, we'll go into Raw. We'll just kind of skim through some of it. It did open up with Judgment Day against the OC original club, only club that matters. Let's see. Judgment Day are in town. Step up or put down. Get put down. We get Finn Balor versus Carl Anderson. What was it? We got Dominic saying he's this generation's Eddie Guerrero. Just a little homage to his father. Mm-hmm. I loved that. I loved it because it was so easy. Yeah. He's like, you want to watch? Do you want to watch Twitter go crazy? Watch this.
Yeah. How many people thought that he meant it?
Yeah,
that's all I saw was people thinking that, like, these were his words.
Yeah. Did you see Dom? He felt it in his gut. You could tell. Did he? Oh, right. Okay.
He went off script. I swear he said that he meant it.
Yeah. Yeah. Look at Dom going to business for himself. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, I saw it.
Oh my God.
So good. I loved it. As soon as he said it, I was all like, nice.
Yeah.
Go ahead, piss him off.
And then AJ was off his game with his promo, calling him this generation's James Ellsworth, but fumbling over his lines and shit. And then, of course, I said, I think it was on episode 1, Ellsworth beat AJ 3 times, so that means that Dominic has 2 more wins coming. So
AJ beat Ellsworth?
I'm sorry, Ellsworth beat AJ 3 times.
Yes.
So that means that Dominic's going to beat AJ 2 more times if he's this generation's James Ellsworth. You can't talk shit if you got your facts wrong,
Uh-oh.
And that was AJ's shit talk, is that, Dominic is this generation's James Ellsworth. It's like, well, good for Dom, man. He's going to beat you 2 more times.
Yeah, he's going to beat you, dude. I don't know if you know this about James Ellsworth, but he beat you. Oh, no.
But yeah, Carl Anderson versus Finn Balor I thought was good. I remember seeing Carl Anderson when he first showed up at a house show. And I was like, this guy, Intercontinental Champion. Get him away from Luke Gallows. He's so fucking good. But,
Yeah. Oh, and then Rhea scoop slams Luke Gallows in a tremendous spot. She shoves him into the post, grabs him, slams him. He sells the shit out of it. I'll even just talk about it now because there's no reason to like bounce back and forth entirely. But like when they went back there and he's all like, I'm really good with women. I'm the best one with women here. And they're like, what? No, you're not. And he's all like, look, he's like, body slams are my love language. Yeah. Body slams are my love language. And then he comes back holding his crotch being like, okay, we got a problem. She doesn't like me.
A little insight into what wrestling is. IWC Wrestling Fan Universe. Watch the replay of the body slam.
Yes.
And look at Luke Gallows' right arm and how he's pushing off of Rhea's thigh to give her the support to allow it to happen. That's what helping your partner is. That's what the dance of wrestling is. And it's not taking credit away from Rhea at all.
Yes.
But wrestling is working together to create the moment. So when you're watching your favorite wrestlers do their thing and they're waiting for their opponent to do the move to them without the assistance. And the one I hate the most is the Hurricane Rana, where they Hurricane Rana and then the other one flips. It's like, you finish the move, now you flip. No, you're not working in unison to do these things. Gallows posting off the leg like that and allowing Rhea to have the full opportunity to create the body slam, I thought was fucking awesome. I thought it was so cool.
And he did like the whole like seal sit up where he kind of goes back, arches back a lot to make it look even more exaggerated, and then tucked in real heavy to make it look even quicker. It was a lot of like look, you got to be strong to do it to begin with, but there's a certain level where it's all like, you don't got to be that strong to do it. Like, look at the body slam that Sammy took by Wee Man. You know what I mean? Yes.
Yeah, the same thing. Same exact thing. I think I called it out on that too. The same way. Sammy uses his body, or uses Wee Man's body to help Wee Man perform the body slam. Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah, God, can you imagine Sammy backstage and then you'll body slam me? I can't body slam you. You can body slam me.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. It's awesome. It's awesome. So cool. But yeah, Gallows played it off well. And that's something we're talking about again on episode 1, that the Good Brothers working through a leader are tolerable. The two of them doing it by themselves, it's too much funny man without the straight man.
Yes. They are perfect with the right group around them. They can be a bit much when they are the sole focus.
Yeah.
And by a bit much, I mean almost insufferable. I'm just kidding. Those guys are dope. But still, there could be a lot of stuff that I did not watch all the way through.
Yeah, but he's terrible with women. Like, it was awesome.
So, yeah. I love the body slams are my love language. And then he walks out. I was like,
he was so confident.
Yeah. Do you think at all that they are planting the seeds, if for no other reason than the conversations they want podcasts like Our Idiots to have, that there's a possibility there's a build towards a War Games match that is the first ever intergender World Games match where they have Rhea and Beth in it? Because both of them could pull it off better than anyone.
Then who comes in for the other part of Edge? Because you need a fourth man. No, you need you need a fourth man on.
Oh,
or just Beth comes in and does it. Beth comes in and is like, hey guys, my husband's still out. I got problems with these guys. AJ, you know the deal. Good Brothers, nice to meet you. Let's go fucking do this. I mean, that's possible.
Yeah. Yeah, you were always good to my husband or whatever. He always respected you. You know, you could do that.
That'd be awesome.
You could have Edge come back too, Edge and Beth together, and that'd be enough. Like, you know what I mean? But yeah, you could just have Beth come in. Because you're saying otherwise Judgment Day would need another person, or Edge would need another person?
The OC would need another person, right? Or is it because don't they have it's 3 and 1?
I think. Well, I mean, you got Dom,
Finn, Damien. Oh yeah.
Then,
so just be Beth. Yeah, you're right.
All you need to do is add Beth.
But my first point was if it's Edge and Beth, because I didn't think Beth would come by herself. Then
Judgment Day would need one more?
Judgment Day would have to add one. Yeah.
I mean, you could. It's not impossible to add somebody to that group just almost willy-nilly. You know what I mean? Like, because of the nature of that group, like, you could bring in Dijak.
Oh, great.
He'd be amazing in Judgment Day.
Yeah.
So,
I
would do one of those
the same way. Did you watch NXT last night?
I have not yet, no.
Okay. But yeah, a new Schism member.
I saw the Schism member come in.
Okay, you did see that?
I saw there's like a little footage of, I think, Dijak's mask burning on fire, and I'm not sure where that was placed in the show. But, yeah, we no more Mace. Or not Mace, T-Bar.
T-Bar.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, you can just do stuff like that, which I also thought was great because we kept trying to, figure out who's this new woman, who's the woman. And I even said at one point, I think it's going to be the debut of somebody, but I have no idea who the fuck we're looking at. And then, it was who it was. So we'll talk about more about
I saw so much uproar, and I'm like,
they need. Everyone needs practice. I don't give a fuck who they are. They need practice. They need to learn how to do this shit.
Plus, the schism is fucking dope, dude.
Yeah.
They're killing it. Speaking of killing it, Miz, Gargano, Dexter Lumis, R-Truth just killed the flow of the show for me.
Oh, nice.
Went on way long. And they're really forcing Johnny Gargano like he's good at stuff, and I just think he's insufferable. Anything you have to say about any of the Miz Gargano stuff? Like, do you find Gargano even remotely funny?
So you've ruined any chance of him being funny to me, because now I see it kind of through your lens. But even if he has a line to deliver, it gets delivered in a way where it's not going to be funny.
Yes. And he's going to repeat it so many times that you've heard it enough.
Right.
Because he's afraid of dead air.
And the whole blow the whistle thing, he has an opportunity to make that funny, and he fucking Garganos it. And it's just not... I'm going to blow it. I'm going to blow it. Like, it's so bad.
It's so stupid.
It's so bad.
Producer lady was watching with me, and she goes, why is the crowd chanting or cheering that he said he's going to blow the whistle? I was like, because they've been fucking bored for 10 minutes now, and it's the only chance they've had to interact. Because at this point, you've been watching horrible, boring shit, and then finally somebody on the mic turns to you and says, do you want me to do this? It didn't matter what they said or who said it. They were going to say, yes, do anything at all. Please, just do something. Blow the whistle. We're tired of this stupid shit. The reason blowing the whistle would be awesome right now is because this can fucking go somewhere or stop. So yeah, fucking blow the whistle. It's not that we love you and we want you to do whatever you want to do. It's we're fucking tired of this shit. Blow the whistle. Get it done with.
You know what it is? It's the new beach ball, right?
Yes.
Like beach balls used to happen even when great wrestling was happening. But now, like the crowd chanting Dexter to eat the cake or Johnny to blow the whistle is that it's so fucking dull. They want something to happen.
Yes.
Not out of disrespect of something happening, because I do think people are a little bit more engaged now to what is happening.
Yes. Yes, I agree. Justin Time's in the chat. What up to this dynamic duo, he says. Cheers to Justin
Cheers.
Time. Let's see, Candice LeRae. Oh, her Kathy Kelly thing with damage control I really liked. I did think it was very interesting when the way they cut the thing where Bailey says... She's like, shut up, get out of here, or something like that. And she shoves the camera down, and so you don't see a beat down at all or anything. So it does lead to a lot of question marks. Did they beat her down? Did they not? Are they faking it? Is Candice going to join them? I think there's every possibility. And to be honest, I think that the Candice character could really use being part of a group because she does feel really aimless right now. She is just this pixie, and we don't know why. And she's really good with no direction, so I don't think I'd have any issue with her joining damage control other than how many people do you want in the one faction, you know?
Yeah, I just don't see them doing that because they've given Johnny and Candice almost Bray Wyatt type latitude. So
yes, yep. We had Matt Riddle backstage with Elias. Elias was pissed at him, nearly smacks him with the guitar, but then Gable and Otis show up. I'm digging the Elias stuff, and I dig Chad Gable. I still just don't find Riddle funny, but I can recognize that what he's doing is working.
It's good for Elias to not sit out there by himself.
Yeah.
I'll put it that way. Because, I don't think any of the Riddle stuff's funny. I mean, if Elias had to carry everything without something to bounce off of, then we'd be looking for him to bounce something off of. So
Yeah. I'm happy he's back. I like him. I like him keeping the family name alive. I like him talking about Zeke from time to time.
Yeah.
He's so meta, dude. This whole character is so meta, anti-IWC, and it's fucking beautiful. And they just eat it up exactly as you would think they would.
I love how his real beard is so short that it looks fake.
Yes, it's amazing.
It's awesome. Yeah.
And everything that they did, because you knew they were trying to elicit certain emotions from this stupid crowd, was exactly what you would expect. There was no rebelling. they fell for every single bit, and it was amazing.
Oh yeah, yeah, for sure.
Even the rebrand. And then he'll come back as a babyface because he'll be back to the way that he was always supposed to be. And everyone's like, yeah.
Right.
Oh my god.
Which his modified drift away now because it's not a Crossroads looked awesome too.
Yeah. We had Theory versus Mustafa Ali. I don't know why Theory's just getting the shit kicked out of him all the time. Although he did win
according
here.
To Justin, according to Justin Time, he's the Money in the Bank winner, so he has to get his ass kicked all the time.
I know, and I think that there is something to it to a degree. There's a certain level of the guy has the briefcase because he's not supposed to be the champion. So it creates a big underdog moment. So when he cashes in, it's like, oh my God, can you believe this loser's the champion? And that's the story they've told a bunch of times, right? They told it with Punk. They told it with Daniel Bryan. They told it with Edge. These guys are doing good, but not great. They're not ever going to be on that next level. And then they get on the next level, but then they hold down that next level. You know what I mean? So it's part of their go-to that I think they overdo sometimes, if I'm honest. But I don't know, man. I'm having a hard time with Ali. What are you thinking?
It's one note.
Yeah.
It's one note. There's a chance that Seth Rollins can help him out, but Cody, Edge, Riddle were all better off at the end of the Seth Rollins feud. Cody, Edge, Riddle were also better at the full complement of wrestling than Ali is. Ali can probably out wrestle all three of them, you know, like move for move and you know, style for style. However, he's fucking phenomenal. But I think the character work and the essence of who that person is, because even Riddle, when Riddle debuted to who he was by the time he touched Seth, it's a completely different person.
Yes.
He grew completely through it, and it really, when he got rid of most of the goofy towards the end of the RK Bro run, he became basically who he was in the middle version of NXT.
Yeah.
That Riddle plus his more refined skills, he's a way better performer and so much easier to root for as a wrestler. And that's what Ali needs to do. He needs to gravitate towards some type of character that can build during the Seth Rollins feud.
Yeah, that's a great point. Great point. I do think that it's going to take a little bit of humbling, because I feel like that every interview I ever heard him talk sounds very much like, well, what is John Cena going to teach me that I don't already know? You're like that's kind of the attitude you hear from him.
Yeah.
And so I think it's going to take a little bit of humbling, which I don't think is hard to grasp. I think that he could easily humble himself enough to learn and become next level and be what he believes he is and that he's capable of being, for sure. Like you said, bell to bell, like you're right, you probably out wrestle most of the entire roster, but you have to sit back and also acknowledge maybe there's something you're missing, as opposed to just saying you're just not given the chance. The only difference between me and you is they let you on TV whenever you want. I don't know, there's other differences. There's a reason they're let on TV every time they want. You know what I mean? You have to acknowledge that the only difference between me and you is that you're on a high level of greatness that I haven't achieved yet, and I can learn from you. That's the difference. You know what I mean? So hopefully, I want to see him be amazing on the other side. Gargano backstage with JBL. JBL just crushing him. Gargano came off like such a petulant little piece of shit. That was my takeaway. As soon as that whole thing I watched, and I was like, I hope Corbin just beats the shit out of him. Like, what a fucking attitude this fucking good guy's having right now.
It is a little. That's. You're so right, and you do probably the best job at bringing this up. The nuance between how they're portrayed and how they're acting. You know, you were on it with Drew McIntyre from the beginning. You're a babyface, okay, but why are you such a heel? And that's what Johnny's doing. He's being presented with fanfare, but he's an arrogant prick to everyone.
Yep.
And the thing is, character-wise, why is he that way?
Yeah.
When John Cena was that way, he was winning titles. And you know what I mean? Like this arrogance, he's barely winning matches. And finally he got his fucking, teeth knocked in. But I'm with you, man. For Johnny to be presented this way, with literally a backstory of 2 months now?
Yeah.
Not 20 years. You tell us he's been wrestling for 20 years. Sure. What have we seen?
Yeah.
Especially, and we're NXT guys, right?
Yeah.
But besides NXT, what have I seen of Gargano? Nothing. And what did I see in NXT? I wasn't impressed. So why would I be impressed now?
Yeah, absolutely.
And Corbin changed his outfit without leaning into the heat of the IWC. So that was a good move.
We'll get there because I'm running through my list here. I skipped all the Omos stuff. I didn't pay any attention to it because it was just him against 4 local dudes, and I knew what that was going to be, and I just didn't care. Not that it probably was bad. It probably was a great job on all people's parts. But it was just kind of doing other stuff and didn't feel like that was something I was going to focus on. Miss anything?
Nope.
Was what it was.
Mm-hmm.
Elias vs. Gable, badass. Loved it. Otis getting involved. Nice. Elias is so good, dude, and Chad Gable is so good. Here's 2 dudes of varying sizes, both pulling their own weight. That's going to come up later.
I think Elias is an underrated athlete in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
By
a lot.
Yeah.
He's one of the most
I've always
been
guys, I think. I've always been a fan.
Yeah,
I've always been a fan. So I just like watching him wrestle. So I'm cool with it. And Gable has become maybe Ziggler level solo performer right now.
Elias?
Like he's Gable.
Oh, Gable. Yeah.
Gable I think is Ziggler level dependable, Ziggler level execution. As of late, Ziggler level character work. He's probably outperforming. Yeah. But this Gable can really do anything and everything for himself and his opponent. I think it's awesome.
Yeah,
I think it's awesome.
He's amazing. Every time he's coming out, the other thing is, like, he's so easy to underestimate, and he's so easy to underappreciate. And I'm not trying to say that in a bad way, but I'm saying every time he even comes out, you go, "Oh, this will be good," and every time, halfway through the match, you go, "God damn, he is so good." Like,
here's
you
the point.
Can't help but forget every time how good he is.
So the way you said it, he's easy to underestimate. He's easy to overlook, right?
Mm-hmm.
As this heel in this character, you don't respect his wrestling because you don't respect him, right?
Yeah.
So at first you just don't like him, don't want to see him. When he was in American Alpha, did you ever underestimate his wrestling?
Oh yeah, no.
You know what I mean? So like you underestimating him, the majority you underestimating him is a testament to his character work.
Yeah.
Because we never did before. We always knew he could fucking wrestle. American Alpha is fucking legit. Those guys were awesome. They were fucking amazing. So, yeah, I think the underestimation is just a testament to his character work.
Yeah, I agree. The OC thing happened. We talked about JBL is in ring. Talks about we're getting bot spammed right now.
Yeah, girl. Sup?
Get girls. JBL's in the ring, and JBL
should I
again.
fall for that? Let me go fall for that. Give me a second here. I'm gonna go fall for that.
Yeah, tell me how it goes. JBL's promo work is so high level that I think that people should be like really paying attention to this, because this whole match he put over Johnny Gargano so much. Look, this guy's tremendous at what he does. He just was in single A baseball for so long, you know what I mean? Like, he was so minor league for so long. He goes, it's not a testament, that's an indictment. Like, the guy's clearly good. So he also was putting over why Baron Corbin might be struggling with him in this moment. But he was also saying at the end of the day, he's not Baron Corbin. Corbin's going to come out on top, right? What Corbin has a factor that Gargano doesn't. What is that? Is it superiority? Is it size? Is it just he's managed by JBL? Like, there is a factor about Baron Corbin's not going to let him lose this match. The other thing he does is when he trashes a town, he does it in a clever way. He doesn't just say, your sports team sucks, mine's cool. He doesn't just say, you're fat and you're ugly. He uses a lot of ways to say those same things without saying them so corny. And a lot of heels, it was what I complained about with Edge when he was doing the heel work with Judgment Day. He goes, you guys are all just disappointed because you look in the mirror and you see yourself. And you go, all right, that was a really, really poor way to just say that you think we're ugly and fat, and we get it. But for JBL, the way he says it all is so nuanced that for a second you go like, did he just call me fat? You know what I mean? Like, it takes a second. And I think that too many people take away the message and not the delivery when they're trying to emulate guys like JBL.
Yep. You are correct.
This match in and of itself was a massive testament to how amazing Baron Corbin is. You could see Corbin having to readjust how he does everything because he's not used to wrestling with children. And I only say that because he has kids who I think are larger than Johnny. But I am saying, when Johnny stood next to Corbin, the size difference was so ridiculous that it looked like watching a father wrestle his son. And Corbin did everything he could to legitimize that. You could even see the way he was slamming him. So you got to hold up on the hip and the shoulder on a lot of stuff. Watching Corbin have to bring his arms in because the length of this guy was just so small, and trying to overcompensate or undercompensate the weight because he's used to pushing off on three. He's used to fucking wrestling Braun Strowman and Roman Reigns. And now he's fighting a 5'5", 150-pounder. I know they say he's 195 when he comes out, and I laugh hysterically every time they do because I always forget the joke. And then they say it, and I laugh because I go, that's just not true. Right. That is such a struggle. If you're going to tell me Finn Balor's 175, and you're going to tell me Rey Mysterio's 180, and then you want Gargano to walk out there and tell me he's 195, fuck off.
Yeah.
But this match made Corbin just that much more amazing. Gargano looked like an absolute fucking clown when he's putting on the fucking hat and dancing around as an arrogant prick, asshole, not taking his own fucking job seriously. When he gets back in the ring, there was a moment there where I was watching and I actually went, why are they making JBL look like a little bitch? Why are they letting Gargano bitch out JBL of all people? At the end of it, it all kind of clicked for me. I went, oh, JBL's just that smart, right? Because JBL's watching this and he's aware of everything. My guy has to win this match. And if I punch this little pipsqueak in the face and that referee who's counting sees me, that match is over. And he goes, so this guy's going to get his comeuppance in a minute. He waited for the moment when the ref had his back turned to cost Johnny the match, take his hat back, and be like, you don't fuck with us. You know what I mean? And then they just walked away. They didn't even lay it in afterwards, which I thought was great. For them to be like, we got our win. That's what we came to do. Teach you a lesson. Right. You know? I thought the JBL Baron stuff was amazing.
No, absolutely. I think it's a diversion or a divert, I should say, from what we talked about last week, how the Garganos get to be on TV in the Gargano fashion. Yeah. So I was a little curious that they used Johnny for this. But to your point, this wasn't a Johnny making Baron Corbin moment. This was a Baron Corbin kind of being a leader out there. So, which I've always been a Corbin fan too. So yeah, I'm cool with it.
Yeah, he was very impressive in this to me. Let's see. Bianca Belair backstage cut her promo, and she was saying that she didn't have any friends. And I feel
because
like
they were all taken out.
Because they're all taken out. But I feel like that's a seed. I feel like that will come back.
More coming.
People are coming. Either returns from the injury list or returns from the release list, but I feel like there are friends coming. I feel like every time they've said something, we've pointed it out, and that feels like a seed. Like, I don't have any friends left. Oh. You know what I mean? This feels a lot like AJ and Finn, where Finn's like, you don't have no friends. And I was like, oh, so the Good Brothers coming back.
Let's look for the trademark list. See who's going to come up. Let's go back and do some research on the release list so we can guess before we actually watch.
That makes sense. I do think that the easy guess would be Sasha Naomi. I do think that it's also safe to say that they're doing so much other stuff right now that it looks like a complicated situation. You know what I mean? I don't think anything's a shoe-in or anything's a slam dunk, but I do think that a seed like that could pay off that way fantastically, but doesn't have to either, right? The Gargano Miz thing in the back with the card was so fucking awful. Brock Lesnar gonna be back next week, which is cool. And then we get the main event. Bianca versus Bayley. These two work so fucking well together and always have. And every time they elevate it more and more. Better and better. So this
Bayley's good like that.
She is. I mean, Bayley can work into people's strengths so fucking well. And when you're Bianca, you already have so many strengths. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah.
Like working
Bayley
around
lets
someone's
them
weaknesses
shine.
to begin with. Yeah. And then if you're already comfortable with working around someone's weaknesses, and then you get in there with like a Bianca, I feel like Bayley's got to be like a kid in a candy shop when she gets to wrestle Bianca. Like, we could do so much, you know? And it's not even like the we could do so much. There's so many moves we could do. There's so many flips we could do. It's just there's so much story we could pull off, you know?
Right.
And there's so much excitement we can execute. Like, I think that's all there, and it's awesome. The end of the match does come from the return of Nikki Cross. They say Nikki Cross. She does a cross body. Nikki Cross body. Onto, who was in the back there? It was Dakota, Io.
And the referee.
That's who it was.
Which
Nikki runs in, beats the snot out of everybody.
I liked how that was executed.
Yeah.
I liked how that was executed. Upon replay, it was a little more obvious because I knew the crossbody was coming. But the referee is never in that particular spot, and I thought it was awesome.
Yes, to use the referee that way. Nikki goes in, beats the snot out of Bianca. Then they're like, oh my God, what's going on? Bayley rolls over, gets the 3 count, wins the match, wins the title, new Raw Women's Champion, and then Nikki runs back in to beat the snot out of Bayley as well. Just so you know, this isn't an allegiance thing. This is a chaos thing. Nikki's back and she's here to give chaos. Nikki wants to play. She came to play and chew bubblegum, and she's all out of bubblegum.
It is spooky season.
Spooky season.
So Jessica Carr she came down, gave the pin, she went for the belt. They didn't give her the belt. They allowed the Nikki stuff to happen.
Yeah.
And Bayley wasn't announced as the new champion. They went off of TV. Is Bayley the new champion?
Yes. The count happened. Jessica Carr's never wrong.
But it wasn't announced, and it wasn't on TV.
I thought it was on their WWE.com Twitter. Did they not say "and new" at any point?
Well, I didn't follow Twitter, but I'm just curious because the TV version didn't have that happen. But I'm here for it if that's the case.
What the fuck?
But yeah, Nikki being back is awesome. All of you Dewdrop haters might be able to get what you've been waiting for so long, is be able to watch Dewdrop without calling her Dewdrop. I can't imagine anything else would change if her name comes back, that she would still wrestle the same way and be presented the same way and as good as she always was. You just don't complain about her name anymore, so you have to find something else to complain about.
That's true, especially because Dewdrop has gone on record before and said that she wishes that she could be called Piper the Viper. And if you have a Crazy Nikki, you could have Crazy Nikki with Piper the Viper, no problem.
Yeah.
Well, I'm scrolling through their thing right now. To see if they announced it there, because I could have sworn, but now you mention it, they may not have. I do think that it would be kind of ridiculous to try and pull off like, hey, the count happened, the referee was out, there was interference behind the ref's back, but the count happened, we're not going to acknowledge it anyways. Like, I think that'd be kind of a stretch.
I also don't remember the graphic necessarily saying that it was for the women's title.
They've been saying it. They've been saying it for a while.
You are a Bayley mark, so you would know.
She did say, where's Candace and where's Nikki, she being Bayley.
Bring up the end of Raw.
Nikki says it's my galaxy now, which is fantastic.
Let's see here.
Let's see. Crown Jewel. I wonder if they try to pull off a thing where she's back, look, you return, Bayley, take out Bayley. Because Bayley did start to put her hands up. I won. Vintage Bayley. Oh, there was no and new graphic at the end of it.
And even the graphic beforehand just says Bayley versus not with the title. Which just means they're going to run it back again for the title.
Probably, right? Is that what they do at Crown Jewel?
Yeah, I guess so.
Which is also a bummer because that was the whole promo last week was I want your title and I'm going to take it next week on Raw. You know?
Yeah.
So if they did just kind of like reverse that.
Right.
Yeah, and even here, WWE puts how will Bayley fare against Raw Women's Champion Bianca tomorrow night. Champion may have thought damage control. Let's see, I'm pulling up the WWE.com thing as they do. We'll go one-on-one with EST once more with Retribution on our mind as well. Whoop, damn it. Perhaps another chance. Wait, with Retribution on her mind as well as perhaps another chance at the Raw Women's Championship.
So if she wins, she gets a title shot.
That's
shit.
what it sounds like. That's
yeah,
what
even
they
the hashtag
it.
for the match. The hashtag for the match was Bianca versus Bayley, not Raw Women's Championship or Raw Women's title.
All right, so they duped me. Those sons of bitches.
That's how invested you are, bro.
So stupid. So stupid. I hate this. I'm wrapping it up.
You just want Bayley to be champion?
Just be champion already. Nikki being back though is really fucking cool. I'm excited she's back. I think that's going to be really good. The Nikki play thing, that's something I still play for people sometimes when they're all like, oh, you know, you watch wrestling, this and that. You know, I'm always like, I'll pull up the Becky doing an open challenge and Nikki showing up from NXT. Hey Becky, wanna play? I'll play with you, Becky. It's so fucking creepy, dude. That's my Halloween season. I watch Nikki's promos.
Let's do it. She's the best.
Yeah. She's amazing.
What are
Match
the chances?
Go ahead.
What are the chances? Because I was using the restroom, a.k.a. the utility sink in my basement, when you brought up Ronda. What are the chances that we're all extremely disappointed at the Open Challenge?
Yeah. It's going to have to be.
Right.
Yeah, I don't think they could do anything that would work unless you had like a Nikki show up and actually win out of nowhere because she was vicious as fuck and everyone said, what the hell just happened? Like that could be
Nikki
fucking cool.
Yeah, but Nikki already happened. So there's only, like 2 or 3 more people left.
Right, but you can play Nikki back just because she's here. What the fuck is she doing? She went after Bianca. She went after Bayley. Who's she aligns to? Is she Raw? You know what I mean? Like, if she were to also then show up on SmackDown a few days later and then take the SmackDown Women's Champion, like, what is Nikki doing? You know what I mean? She could seem more unhinged if she showed up and answered. Yeah. Right. You know? So I think you could pull it off where it would be crazy and awesome and she's insane and even if she loses that match, if she loses it because of disqualification because she's just going fucking rabid, like, what is Nikki doing? She's impacting all these championships and doesn't even want one? Like, this is just chaos.
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
Yeah. They're like, this is insanity. And then you can have a wild ass Nikki who doesn't seem to have any allegiance or method, just pure chaos. And anytime you see or hear her, you just go, oh my God, what's happening? Total wild card. Wild card, bitches. Yeah. You know what I mean?
I tell you, it's the most dense WWE roster we've had in a long time, and we're seeing a lot of people all the time. And I think it's pretty good. Without feeling clustered.
Yeah.
You know?
And none of the factions feel like factions for no reasons.
Right.
Because I think it was Splinter Fox gave me a lot of shit on Thursday where I was like, yep, you can build another faction here. This person can do another faction. And he goes, didn't you complain when AEW had all the factions? I was like, yeah, because it was factions for no reasons. None of them went anywhere. None of them made sense why they were even together. It was just put these 5 people together, have them go out there every week and seemingly be split off. And it was just chaos the way it was booked.
Yeah, I mean, the Inner Circle had a tag team who never wrestled, a bodyguard who never bodyguarded.
Yeah,
and like 3 other guys who didn't fucking do anything. But if
we're
they
on like
did
the 4th
something,
iteration of it, like
if they did something, a la the Bloodline, they have 5 members. 1 is a double champ. 2 of them are 6 members. 2 are double champs as well. Or 5 members. I don't know.
Here's the deal with
Sammy
Bloodline.
and Solo, but like
the thing with those
stories.
other ones, none of them made sense on why they're together. Like, okay, why is this person here? Well, just because.
Right.
They made sense on how Sami Zayn became part of the Bloodline. Sami Zayn joined a family who are together because of their blood, named off after their own background, named after the fact that they are bonded by blood, and they made sense on how Sami Zayn could join that family. They made it make sense. They didn't just put him there for no reason because we want to get him on TV.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Perfect.
And that's the big difference.
Perfect explanation. That's what I was going to say.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was going to say.
Yeah, I bet. If you can put Sami Zayn in the Bloodline and make sense of it, I have a lot more faith in your ability to add someone to Judgment Day with it making sense.
So maybe that's why Bray Wyatt came back, is because they saw that they made sense of Sami Zayn joining the Bloodline. And they're like, you know what? If they can make this see-through pale Canadian guy join a incredibly thick-blooded Samoan family, make sense? They can handle my character.
Yeah. Boy, howdy. But yeah, I'm excited to have the return of Nikki Cross. Let's play. Let's do it. Anything else you wanted to throw out there at all?
No, I think everyone needs to sit back and relax again, man. Again, I'm done listening to podcasts until Bray Wyatt wrestles. Because if everyone's going to keep speculating what the next character or iteration or promo means and all that stuff, it's just not as fun, man. Like, watch and see what he wants us to know.
Yeah.
See us, like, whatever the howdy thing is, I'd much rather say, oh, man, what is this fucking howdy thing? Instead of, oh, well, they trademarked Uncle Howdy to be a howdy uncle, so this is going to be what Uncle Howdy is. Shut the fuck up and watch. Like, it's too much, man.
I'll tell you this much. Breaking spoilers is not nearly as fun as wildly speculating and becoming right.
Correct.
Like we talked about Good Brothers. 2 weeks before anyone said it looks like the Good Brothers signed with WWE, I said, I bet you the Good Brothers are on their way back because of what I'm watching on the show.
Right.
Because the show led me to want it. And then the dirt sheets the day of were like, we think that they're going to show up right now. Do you? Because I thought that a week and a half ago when they said it on TV that led me to believe it. So it's either you guys don't watch and don't pay attention and have no reason to speculate, or you just wait till it's already obvious and then go breaking news, So like, yeah, the trademark stuff. I like talking about what I'm watching. I like having the conversation of wildly speculating, making up our own rumors, and then being right just as often as the people with the inside knowledge.
Yeah, I mean, that's like what I just said about Dewdrop. Like, if she comes back as Piper Niven or Piper the Viper or anything like that, it's not a wild guess to have that guess. But if you look at the presentation of what happened with Nikki Cross and having the name Nikki Cross back, you can speculate, hey, the possibility of getting the Dewdrop that all of us wanted in the beginning is here now. So when she shows up, fucking awesome. Now, that's where it ends with me. I'm not looking the entire scope of the internet to see if I'm right. I'll just be right.
Yeah.
Because I said it before it happened.
You know what part led me to think very similarly is that when Nikki came back, she was wearing the studded jacket. That's the one that Piper gave her. That when they were teaming and she's like, get rid of the cape. Let me give you this. We're going to go take the world by storm, That was like the last iteration we saw of character development outside of Nikki having a breakdown because she was almost a superhero. Well, I think almost a superhero was never quite good enough, so she's gonna have to be something different than a superhero. And yeah, this could be really cool. And there's already a connection to Doudrop that's not just like, well, let's just drop Doudrop and move on. You know what I mean? And she's wearing that jacket. I mean, and it could be nothing, but it's also a connection that could be made.
Yeah, it could be everything.
Yeah.
But no,
Anything
that's
else?
it. I'm good.
You ready for last call? You want to put over anything?
Just myself at TV Takes Podcast, Terrible Wrestling Takes Podcast on all platforms. B team, go. Love this shirt. So if you're ever looking for a shirt that you may have had, it might be in your attic.
Does it say something on the back?
It does. It says we're the B team and the B stands for best. Some shit like that. Yeah.
I hated that.
Would you like to see it in full?
No.
You didn't like the gimmick?
The B stands for best. Yeah, I hated it, man. I hated it. I also didn't know how much I liked the idea of accidental champions having an accidental reign, because they never won on purpose. It was always, which was kind of funny in a way, but at the same time, you want to talk about people thinking the tag team division's weak, try having a tag team win by accident through the championship reign they have the entire time. You know what I mean? Then it starts to really look weak.
I would say that they didn't win on purpose, but I don't think it was an accident. They didn't stumble into victories. You know,
they walked ass backwards into a few. They always were surprised by their own wins.
Right. But it was never by like the opponents looking weaker. It's like, oh shit, we actually did this. So I don't know. I was always entertained by it. But when I went online to get it, of course it was during the clearance thing, and all they had left was 3X, and I'm usually at 2. I was like, you know what? I'll dry this thing 100 fucking times if I have to. I need to shrink the fuck out of it. I'm wearing this. Oh, it's not shrunk yet? Fuck it. I'll just wear it around the house or wear it to bed. I don't care. Yeah. But, yeah.
I have a couple shirts that are way too big that I wear around the house just because the shirt's just too fucking good.
Yeah, I just love it. The fact, I mean, they were drawing this on the stage, and then they turned Sharpie marks into a fucking print.
Yeah, that's the one Sammy shirt I regret not getting was the I Am Sami Zayn that Big E drew.
Yeah.
So good. It was so funny. I kept thinking I was going to catch it, and then one day it was just gone, and I was all like, all right. But I do have like a dozen other Sammy shirts, so it's not like I can't support the guy. It's just that's the one where I was like, all right, well, that one got away.
Do you have the underdog from the underground one?
What color is it?
It's green from NXT.
I don't think I have the green one, because I have one that says that, but it says on the back, the front's black and it's him dancing. I don't have the green one. But I have a figure of Sammy where he's wearing it, I do believe. That, and I almost got the Insane shirt that they released back then too, which I thought was pretty cool.
Oh yeah, it says it on the back, underdog from the underground. But this is the I don't know if it'll work because it's green, but it's it's him dancing on the front.
I'm pretty sure I don't have that one, but I'll go double check. That's sick though. I have the Bailey Can I Get a Hug shirt from NXT.
Nice.
Yeah. But
nice.
Guys, we're going to be back tomorrow night with Miss Amanda Jane talking some AEW NXT. For me, ways you can support me and the show, WrestlingOnTheRocks.com/shop. Pick up some merch, some pint glasses, shirts, stickers, all sorts of things. I'm also working with John Arezzi over at Pro Wrestling Spotlight, so give them a check. Go over to youtube.com/Pro Wrestling Spotlight and watch the new video podcast that I have a lot of... I'm doing all the editing over there, man. So it's a big project that I'm having a lot of fun with. And keep your eyes open. Paving the Way with Medusa. She is on twitch.tv/Medusa_rocks. YouTube/Medusa Rocks as well. I believe there's also an underscore there, if I'm not mistaken. Starting in November, I'm going to be co-host on her podcast as well. We've already done filming for the first 4 episodes. One's a 2-parter, so I might end up having 5 episodes next month, so we'll see. But Give that a check. Paving the Way with Medusa, Pro Wrestling Spotlight with John Arezzi, and we are at WOTR The Show with at Ref Marsh, and this is Last Call.
Cheers.
Continue to support us or buy us a drink by following and putting the I in subscribe on Twitch, or subscribe and review our podcast on Apple Podcasts or wherever you listen to us. Cheers!
I would never have a drink with Wrestling on the Rocks.